All right.
Run it, Core.
All right. So we heard words from a convention we did not expect to hear anything from and haven't heard anything from for over a year. And that is A-Kon Dallas. Yay. So Akon announced like barely a week ago that like, hey guys, we're still here. We're not dead forever. They this is just a gist of what they had said. You can find the full thing on their YouTube or not their YouTube. That's wrong. They don't have a YouTube. Their website, akon.com, I believe it is, a-kon.com. Here, I'm gonna just push this live while I read the notes. So their event was canceled in 2024, and we were radio silence. We didn't even hear much about getting refunds for people that had already pre-ordered their tickets at the event that had happened the year prior. They've promised the event will not be as rushed as it was in previous years, so we're not going to see anything until 2026, but most likely 2027 is when we're going to see Akon's return. No word on venues. They're still working that out. The previous management, before the new team had taken it over, did kind of screw everybody over in terms of everything for the convention centers. A lot of fans actually want them to return to the Fort Worth Convention Center because the gardens and such, or the water gardens and such, were really good places for photographs. The convention was actually a pretty big space.
Well, it's a place that Anime Frontier has taken over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could still do it there too. A lot of people also were asking them to go back to the Sheraton. I don't want them to go back to the Sheraton. That's too small for them now.
Yeah.
They have stated that they have sent out refunds once again. Or not once again, but they have started doing the refunds as of a week prior to this announcement, which was May 15th when they made this announcement, so a week prior to that. And people have mentioned they've been getting their returns, and they've already stated, hey, if you haven't gotten your refund yet, talk to us. We'll get that sorted. So they've been very transparent on that.
Okay.
People have been asking, like, why did this all break down? And the answer that they gave us was that there were financial issues behind the scenes, not because they couldn't afford it, but some financial stuff that they didn't disclose.
Yeah.
They were trying to find new investors. They were unable to do so. They weren't able to collect funds that they were owed from previous vendors and such. So it was just a culmination of a lot of that. I don't know how much, like, I feel mean saying this, but like, I don't know how much of this I believe fully. I'm not taking this at full face value because I understand what the previous management had done, and I have seen how the new management has treated stuff. They keep stating over and over they haven't gone corporate, but I saw what the dealers hall looked like in the 2 years before they shut down, and it was filled with corporate shills and generic stuff. When they were at the Fort Worth Convention Center, they had big, like, Sprint and big corporate logos everywhere. Yeah. So, no, y'all are still kind of corporate. Y'all can say it. Like, it's fine.
I think...
Don't hide. But
I'm sorry to say, at this point, I don't want it to die, but I don't think we're ever going to achieve the levels of greatness that it was once at.
Yeah.
If we really want to go back, let's go back to the Sheraton downtown.
No, there's not enough space. That's the problem.
Yeah,
the reason they moved.
They need to get on their feet somewhere.
They do, but look at how big that convention is now. A-Fest can't even do that convention center anymore.
Well, we're never going to go back to the Hilton Anatole.
Well, no, the Hilton Anatole will never let anyone do
ban.
conventions because they have that water park now. But the Sheraton, as much as I would like that, because I do prefer the Sheraton as a venue, it is too small. There is not a convention that we go to now that can host at the
So
Sheraton.
what about the one they usually held QuakeCon at?
That was the Hilton Anatole.
No, in
The Gaylord?
The Gaylord.
Yeah,
Gaylord's a big space.
The Gaylord is a big space. The problem is it's also prime real estate. So the reason they have not gone there before, I'm guessing, is one, the price, and two, it's been booked. They had WeebCon there, and that was a disaster.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Oh, yeah, I seem to remember some of that.
Yeah, people like drinks got spiked. People had to park several miles from the convention center.
I mean, but we're missing out on like a really big hotel con. Like MomoCon in Atlanta is going on this weekend. That's a great con to go to.
Which I just want to throw out there for people. I went to the first few years of MomoCon when it started. It was in the student center at Georgia Tech. That's where it started. It was a free convention.
Wild.
The only people that had to pay anything were vendors, and they paid like $10 for their table. But fun fact, I had to shelter from a tornado there. That was weird.
But sadly, we are missing. I don't know if are there any hotels around that could host?
Then we need to
A-Kon
expand
anymore?
our horizons when it comes to the idea of cons. They need to be like booking like Six Flags for a weekend in November, or like do some weird stuff.
Is that
like
Hyatt
shake it up.
downtown viable anymore? I know I've been to a couple cons there.
Take over a college campus.
The problem is A-Kon truly is just too big for a hotel.
Well, it's not big anymore. It doesn't exist.
The clientele, the amount of people that are going to go, it made the Fort Worth, or not Fort Worth, the Dallas Highland Park crowded.
I was going through a lot of those comments on that page when they made this announcement, and man, there was a lot of disappointed people. And I get it. It was a fun convention.
There are a lot of disappointed people, but those are also the same people that say don't go to Anime Matsuri and still go anyway. So they're going to go regardless because nostalgia. It's still going to be a big enough con that I don't think the Sheraton is a safe place for it, solely because they would have to cap their tickets. And if they have to cap their tickets that low, they're not making a return on investment. But there's a lot of factors we also don't know and can't make calls on. We don't know how much money they have to spend for a convention
Or
center.
how much they're in debt for.
I think
how much
they
they're in
should
debt
team up with A-Fest and bring it back, both of them back
Yeah.
together
At
and
this-
rent out like an entire venue.
At this point, I'm the meme stick figure of, okay, do something.
Yeah, I would love it if they rented like half the Kay Bailey Center, because I think that would be a great place for them to go and grow.
And there's a hotel literally connected.
There's a hotel literally connected, but it depends on how the management at Kay Bailey feels about it, since again, the original management kind of burned that bridge.
And they're about to renovate.
And they're about to renovate, but again, they're not even looking at coming back next year.
Yeah.
They said next year as a possibility, but they're looking more towards 2027.
That's what I'm saying. Join with A-Fest to bring A-Fest back, since they're not going to be able to do Dallas and rent out a big venue.
If they were to absorb Anime Fest, one, I'd actually be kind of sad because I liked that they had two different vibes.
I do
but-
too, but like Anime Fest isn't going to be here for
Yeah, but they would have to, I would say they should rename if they're going to do something like
I
that.
think they should
And it's
rebrand
possible,
anyway.
yeah, it's very possible that Akon's going to rebrand,
That's a fucking anime party.
which is going to be interesting. And so far, Akon is still was the oldest running anime convention in the country, because it started out in the same year that Dragon Con started,
We had some good times there.
and Dragon Con is the oldest nerd convention that's still going.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. It's been a week. There hasn't been any other updates, but they seem pretty consistent on answering people's questions in the comment sections and such. So they're at least keeping true to their word that they're not like trying to hide anything.
We did a lot of good gags at A-Kon when we would go there.
Well, I mostly worked at Nighthawk Armory, so I
I
don't
remember I had a sign,
We
need
did
money.
some good gags there.
I had a sign one time as a joke for one of our openings that said, need money for figure arts. And I was sitting by a line, we did a bit, and then somebody actually gave me $5. And I was
Nice.
like, no, but they were like, no. They were gone before I could no, this is a bit. but someone actually gave me $5.
That's really funny because when you gave me $5 in a DM gag, I was like, I'm taking this. This is mine now.
I actually got my first Saint Seiya figure at A-Kon.
I got carried out by the cast of One Piece when we did the joke about the branches.
Yeah.
I do miss that Akon was more accessible for the guests they had.
Oh, God,
Yeah.
now I miss it. Crap.
Like, my dream venue for them would be the Anatole, honestly, if the Anatole was willing to do that again. Because I felt like the space was great. I just hate that the clientele of A-Kon is not mature enough to appreciate
Anatole, please
Oh,
let him
yeah,
come
no.
back.
stuff and decided to.
That was in our
Oof.
rudest days, though. That's when Homestuck was running wild and dying
Homes-
bathtubs everywhere.
That wasn't the
That
problem.
one preceded.
We just
the-
need to get
some
a
of that.
boom
The
box.
problem was someone vandalized part of the Berlin Wall. Like, they literally spray painted the Berlin Wall display.
Well, I'm just saying, as a whole, we didn't
Yeah.
have our manners together yet.
Okay.
Like, as conventions, we've gotten somewhat
Yeah.
better.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
organize. We need a bunch of candles and a boom box. We're going to go to the Hilton Anatole. I'm going to get an overcoat and put it over my head.
Are we
put it over
16
my head.
candles?
Yes.
The Anatole?
Oh, we went two very different ways.
No, I went there
I-
too
we-
until
we
he said
can't-
boom
The power
box.
of Christ compels you. The
No.
Anatole, that doesn't even. Okay. No, I understand now.
No, those can come up like it would
Me
be
with a boom
very
box on the
normal.
lawn. In your eyes.
There we go.
The
Okay.
light, the heat.
I didn't watch a lot of.
It was
oh,
a
what is his name?
romance
What's
movie
the
from the
director?
80s. John something.
John Hughes. I didn't watch a lot of John Hughes growing up.
Anyway, that sucks, by the way.
Yeah, we'll see
This
what
is where we are.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Stay tuned for more, I guess, because we'll definitely come in here to judge whatever venue they pick. I'm not gonna lie. Like, let's be real. Whatever venue they pick, we're gonna judge it. As long as you know what, as long as it's not Fair Park again. That was awful. The air conditioner was broken
That was a
in
disaster.
several buildings in the summer.
That was a disaster.
Okay.
You know.
I overheated for the.